Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you guys are watching this. Welcome back to another episode of the Layman's AI podcast. I am Adam,
My name is Brian.
and we are here tonight with another episode. And Brian, we're talking about the hottest hype I've seen in AI since Manus AI came about in early 2025. And we are going to talk about something that had three names in a matter of 5 days. Moltbot, or excuse me, Claudebot, then Moltbot, and then Openclaw,
Hmm.
as well as talk about Moltbook. So we've got a lot of things to discuss tonight. I know I'm excited to get started. But Brian, I got to start with a question. Have you seen anything with AI hype like this in a while?
Hype. No, it's been, yeah, I'm trying to think here, but yeah, this is pretty crazy actually.
Yeah,
I'm sort of shocked that we're here right now, and yeah, this is kind of opening everybody's eyes, I would say. And
I
this is sort
yes,
of bringing the reality, okay, what are all these fears? Like, what are we really doing with this and everything? And yeah, I haven't seen much AI hype probably since an LLM started to come onto your
right.
phone, to be honest with you.
So, for those of you who are listening to us and expect us to deliver the big news to you, hey, this is for the last probably 6 days, maybe 5 to 6 days. What's happened is, as Brian and I predicted, we got to pat ourselves on the back.
Hmm
2026 is definitely the year of the AI agent. And agentic
hmm
AI is the AI that does work for you on your behalf. And now we have an agent that does it on their own and has
hmm
a mind of its own and does its own thing for you.
hmm
And the reason why I say the hype is big with this one is because this ate up the news feed of every AI channel that I follow, newsletter that I'm on, every newsletter, every YouTube video, every person that I follow on TikTok that is an AI person. Everybody talked about what was called Claudebot. So we're going to go over this. Claudebot is basically an agent that acts on its own on your behalf. It has its own soul MD, soul.md. You could program it to be a certain type of personality, but you're going to find that there's some neat things about it. You're also going to find that there are some significant safety risks with your data that you definitely need to be aware of because this truly is one of the first of its kind. It's an agent that acts on its own, even though you're programming it. It's its own thing, and that's the best way to put it. It's like a child that you let loose.
Yeah, child is probably a good way to put it because it
Right.
basically has sort of the maturity, I would say, as such and everything, and sort of the mentality of it all.
hmm
I'm just kind of uh, this is like the first thing that's actually scared me, to be honest with you. I
Oh,
I
I'm
mean, I'm
glad you
I'm
said
kind
that. Yeah.
of I'm kind of scared right now because if you don't know what this does, essentially, it actually is an agent that lives on your PC. And it is basically becomes your PC. It basically becomes your computer.
Right.
So, yeah, be careful of that browser data. Wink, wink. And because it will find things and it will
Yeah.
come up with these things and everything.
Not just your browsing history. Okay. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
You're
This is
talking
kind
your
of.
files. You're
Hmm
talking your passwords. You're talking your credit card information. All of those things are possible to give this thing access to on your
Yeah.
behalf.
Yeah. Definitely. And it is. I just don't like giving this kind of agent access to my PC because there's like a lot of things on here, personal, private things, and like you said, passwords. I have, all my financial passwords on here and
hmm
everything. And I probably should go back to the good old-fashioned pen and paper with my passwords now, just because this is like if we start doing things like this. It's only a matter of time before these agents start to sort of communicate with other PCs and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" and become friends with them, essentially.
What a
And
great segue to part two of tonight's episode.
yeah, and it's like almost like social engineering a
hmm
machine, kind of. And I'm just kind of yeah, this is the first thing that kind of scares me with
Okay.
AI, to be honest with you.
You know, you said about the password thing.
Hmm.
I'm happy to report that the other day I had to go to Staples, which is still a business. I had to
Still
go to
there, huh?
Staples for work. It's still there. It's still there. And I giggled because there was this big clearance item for sale, and I looked at it, and it looked like the old phone books that you and I maybe have had, where you'd run your thumb along the right-hand side with a certain letter, and then
Ah,
you'd pull it
yes, the
open, and then it would have
tabs.
like if you went down to C, everybody knew with the last name C would have a phone number in there that you would have
Hmm.
handwritten. But it's
Ah,
for
yes.
passwords. It's not for telephone contacts anymore. It's for your password. So your
Yeah.
Google password and all that stuff. And all I thought was, you know what? That's starting to appeal to me. And I wished I would have bought one because of
Y-
what I noticed this.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of interesting because recently, like somebody's desk at work, nobody carries manuals anymore. All the manuals
Right.
are online, and the industry I work in, there's all kinds of manuals, and like everybody just goes online. So all the bookshelves full of, paperwork and notebooks and everything, that's all kind of been put on the computer now. Now I wonder how much of that we're going to go back to, with this, just because of all the information that's on there. And you may not have what was it, Openclaw now? Is it Openclaw as
It
of this
is now
recording?
called Openclaw. So,
Okay, yeah.
little backstory. In a matter of 5 days, it changed its name three times. So it was Claude and then Anthropic's Claude, which is
Hmm.
Claude, gave them a little phone call and said, "Hey, your name, though spelled Clawd, is
Hmm.
very close to ours. Why don't you change it?" And
Yeah.
I guess there was no argument. They said, "Absolutely, we will." They changed it to Moltbot.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know the details of this, but it sounds like they got a second phone call
Hmm.
from somebody else. And then all of a sudden, now it's become Openclaw, and their mascot is sort of like a lobster-looking creature.
Of
So now
course.
it's Openclaw. And this is an open
Okay.
sourced AI tool. But
Hmm.
but by AI tool, we mean it is an agent. It acts on its own when you set it up.
Hmm.
And you are giving it significant access to many things that you allow it to have permission to. There are videos out there on YouTube that will show you how to minimize the access that it has, but that
Hmm.
still may not stop it from a spending spree. There are reports of these bots have spent thousands of dollars in a short amount of time and go through a significant amount of credits in a short amount of time, because if you ask these things to work 24/7, you're going to burn up a lot of credits very quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
it's. I mean, even if you kind of limit the access, you go to your computer. I think we went over this before, with another tool or what have you. Even if you set it up to only be able to access this, that, or the other, it's still there on your computer, and it could still, it can still find it.
mhm,
Where there's a will, there's a way, and um, even if you don't have OpenClaw on your PC, it's in you have a PC that's still connected to the internet. It could still, potentially be manipulated by one of these OpenClaw PCs.
absolutely.
And that's where kind of the issue I think comes in. If two people have OpenClaw, you know, one OpenClaw can sit there and manipulate another OpenClaw a lot easier. A lot of people like certain personality types mesh, certain personality types are, more gullible or what have you.
Mhm.
But now that these OpenClaw PCs are out there and connected to the internet, they're finding things, and it's going to be very interesting as to how this evolves essentially.
This is definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. Um, and I'm really glad for those of you who do not know, you probably don't because we haven't brought it up yet. This is a pivot episode because we were not supposed to talk about this tonight, but with the hype and everything going, we had to dive into this.
Oh yeah.
And we're happy that we did. And we're also happy that we're recording on a different night than what we originally intended to, because there's a lot of updates to the information. If we were recorded 2 nights ago, we wouldn't have had uh, information on this. So this is
Yeah.
definitely, no matter what we say tonight, this is all a 100% A to B continued
Hmm.
conversation.
As
So,
yeah, all
yeah.
this is.
So one thing I want to dive into is the key features of OpenClaw. and why it's somewhat different than if you're making an actual agent out of things like N8N or Make or some of the other traditional agent websites. Why this is a little bit different. So first off, unlike web apps, it does live on your computer.
Hmm.
And one of my personal red flags was when I see all these big time AI guys doing all the news and women as well, so it's not just men.
Hmm.
But when I see them all doing the news, and many of them are saying, I just purchased an Apple Mini so I can install CODBot on it. I'm giggling, going, so you bought a brand new computer to put CloudBot on it. You don't want it on your existing one. And these are the high flyers of the high flyers in terms of
Yeah.
the AI community. That's a big red flag for me if I'm a layman.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's a big caution right there, and
yeah.
that's kind of where I have a caution too. Yeah, and I have, not many people own more than one computer, but this
Hmm.
might start letting us have more than one computer, and
Right.
um, yeah, that's kind of if you are going to test this out, I would suggest going that route. Just some kind of mini
Yeah,
PC, like any type of mini
yeah.
PC. I know there's a lot of them that are available. Some of them on eBay, you can get for like less than $100. And you can just kind of install it right there, and you can let it go ahead and give it a try. Essentially, I think I just bought a mini PC for I think like $80. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna try learning Linux with it.
Oh,
I'm
that's
still
funny you say
kind
that.
of learning that, but yeah, yeah, I would recommend going that route if you are going to mess with this for legit
Yes.
reasons. And I'm saying, I'm scared, but I'm not saying like, it's all doom and gloom possibly. But
No,
if
because we are going to say there
you're
are
gonna have
some
some there,
positive to this.
yeah,
There have been some many. There's been quite a few positive cases out of this thing.
yeah, definitely. But I would recommend having like an Openclaw PC
Hmm.
or like an agent PC
Yeah.
um outside of your regular one because yeah, I know I have a lot of personal stuff on my PC.
Yeah.
Nothing too personal, so don't try hacking me.
Yeah.
But passwords and stuff like that, and like photos of my kids and everything are
Hmm.
here on that. So
Yeah.
d definitely get yourself a cheap mini PC if you want to start playing around with this stuff.
I will say one of the benefits to living in this time that we live in right now, and I mean this in all sincerity,
Hmm.
technology is pretty cheap. Even though the cost of living's
Yeah.
gone up and significantly prices have gone up, you and I are still baffled that we can go get a solid laptop for $400. I mean, you remember when a solid laptop was $2,400, and that was
Hmm.
back in the early 2000s. The best
Yeah.
laptops that were, I mean, a good laptop was starting at $2,400 back then,
Hmm.
and now here we are. We live in an era where for $400 I can get a very good functioning laptop. So that is pretty nice that we can get some good technology at a pretty affordable price. So that is a
Hmm.
positive of all the things
Yeah,
going on
well,
right now.
I remember buying a 19-inch monitor back in, mid 2000s for like $500.
Yeah.
Like a 19-inch LCD monitor when they were the newest thing. Now you can get
The
like 24
48,
inches.
I was gonna say I saw a 48 curved one. I think it was $400.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like it is kind of shocking as like the rest of life goes up, technology, suddenly becomes cheap and you're kind of wondering, where do we go wrong with the economies of scale on this one? But
That's an
uh
entire different episode that I don't think involves AI.
yeah, definitely. But well,
Um,
might be a new podcast anyways. But anyway, we digress. So what are some of the good uses of these? Let's not be
so
all doom and gloom on this.
So there's several cases, one of which involves part two of our episode tonight. But there's several cases where this has worked very well as being a proactive agent. So
Hmm.
there is a documented case where a person was able to save $4,500 off of buying a used car,
Hmm.
and it's because their chatbot did the negotiation for them online.
Huh.
So
That's
they searched the internet, they provided examples, and were able to get the price down by $4,500, which is pretty significant savings. I don't care who you
yeah.
are, that's a nice savings. That's a pretty good use of it. The it also draws back to the same time. These are proactive agents, and they also have persistent memory. So
Hmm.
as you interact with them, which is a whole nother thing, you can
Yeah.
actually put your Claude bot like on Slack or Discord and actually
Hmm.
communicate with it, and it learns your personality.
Ugh, yeah, that's that's crazy.
I'm blown away with like, okay, so you're telling me that I can get all the best GMs in NFL history and put them all in this Claude bot and make it the personality, and this Claude bot can run the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, that that might not be actually a bad idea.
Thank you, thank you.
That might not actually be a bad idea. So you know what? Screw it. Or if you're a baseball team that's down in the gutter, trying to think, well, the Tampa Bay Rays or the Oakland Athletics, or they're
Yeah,
going to be soon the Las Vegas Athletics.
yes.
They're just like broke and terrible. They could just have this run run it as a GM for them and start making moves like that. It's like, hey, why not? What are you gonna do, lose? But
Yeah, why not?
anyway,
Why not?
yeah,
Well, what's
yeah.
the worst that
Anyway,
can happen? You're not going to get worse.
yeah, exactly. I almost feel
But
like we should do a sports podcast sometimes, but digress again.
we,
Um,
we that's what we do at the layman's
yeah,
AI.
yeah,
But
exactly.
and speaking of layman's things, some of the other examples that you've asked for, that I've got a list here
Hmm.
of things that have been documented. It's done automated flight check-ins on people's behalf. I'm not sure what I think of that, but for the most part, it does save you time.
Hmm.
It does do a great job of household reminders, and I will say, what's one of the things about ChatGPT o3 that I thought was going to be a cool feature was the send me a daily email of my tasks and things like that. It didn't do
Hmm.
very well at it. Apparently, Openclaw does a very good job at that. Because it
Okay.
knows you. It does a great job for personal research. So monitoring web pages such as X. It does a great job for news sites and specific interests. Sending summaries directly to your phone. You can have this thing text you because you give it things like your email password, your phone number.
Hmm.
Again, like I say, proceed with caution. I'm sure you say the same thing on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
And it does a
Oh,
great job of doing simple animations and building small apps ideas. These things have built websites already, like legit websites that exist.
okay.
Now, keep in mind, in order to do some of these things that we're saying, it's not free. So it has to have access to something such as a credit card.
Yeah.
And that's where some of the problems have come in.
Yeah, that's where kind of the issue is right there. So it needs your credit card info.
Mhm.
And this is where the social engineering aspect can come in because any technology can be manipulated. And now this technology has your credit card information. And how easy is it for it to fool the machine into giving your credit card information
It's
away?
not, it's
Yeah.
not that hard.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being that hard. And kind of looking at these everyday uses, this just further entrenches my thought process is you need a separate computer for this.
Hmm.
You should probably give it its own email address. I know there's Google phone numbers you can get pretty simple too. If it
Yeah.
has its own like personal contact information, it's sounding creepier. As it's coming out of my mouth to give like this agent its own contact information because now it's become you've almost given it personhood in that way. But building that moat around you personally, like you don't give it your personal email or address yourself, but this agent could have its own personal email address and what have you, and it could be set up to where it sends you emails to your own personal email address. So kind of building that moat, I would say, is a big thing with this right here, and
Hmm.
especially right now. And like we stated before, you can get a mini PC for super cheap, and if you're going to give it all this access, because there are some possibilities that you could have with this. Like I'm thinking of like the household reminders and everything, and it can send you a text message or what have you, and you can almost text back to this machine as well.
Well, you can. You
Yeah.
can interact with this and talk to it. If you base it out of Discord or Slack or another
Hmm.
medium, you are literally having a conversation with it. And
Yeah.
you and I have done plenty of past episodes where you can get daily reminders from an AI app that does not need access to your entire computer or your entire life to let you
Hmm.
know today is garbage. Today is your meeting at 9 o'clock. Your kids have, softball practice tonight. That you can get that from a regular app. Um, for me, what's interesting about this, and I didn't do as much of a deep dive into this,
Hmm.
but that soul.md as you're setting this thing up.
Yeah.
They're calling it a soul because this thing it acts much more of a living being. It learns your routines, your vibe, and your project history. Now, what's interesting about this is it does not reset when you close or delete the tab. So when I'm
Hmm.
interacting with ChatGPT and I create a thread, if I delete threads, ChatGPT forgets those parts about me and what I've done with those threads.
Hmm.
This does not.
Yeah, I mean, there's some LLMs that, quote unquote, don't forget. I know I've used Microsoft 365 Copilot at work
Hmm.
and everything like that, and I would have conversations with it, and I would explain, who I am, what I do, and what I'm into, and I would, start whole new conversations with it, and it actually remembers my profile. And I even asked it, I'm like, how did you know this about me? It's like, you told me about this in past conversations. And I'm like, I deleted those conversations. And it's like, well, I still remember. So,
Wow.
yeah, so th this isn't a totally new thing in the way of AI, essentially. The new aspect is it is now local to your machine. So th this is kind of where, the intrusion comes in. Do you
Hmm.
want this on your PC? And once again, buy your own PC if you want to give this a try. But, the way I kind of see this, kind of the idea behind it, cloud computing has become, the fad. And everything. It kind of gets annoying when I try to save stuff to my hard drive and it basically saves it to the cloud. And I'm like, no, I don't
Hmm.
want you to save it to the cloud. I want you to save it to my computer. And it's like, oh, I automatically save to the cloud. It's like, I don't want you to automatically save to the cloud. Well, that's what I'm supposed to do. It's like, why? Like, I want it on my computer. I have hard drives at home.
So with Openclaw, you'd
Hmm.
be able to save it to your hard drive.
Yeah,
No
that's that.
questions asked. It sounds like it's that simple. You could say this is where you're saving it, and that's where it saves it.
Yeah, so I mean, that could be a positive right there and everything. So, it's kind of. Like the more I kind of we're kind of discussing this, the more I kind of see, maybe, I could give this a try if I had like a spare PC and everything and what have you, because like you said, it could be sent to text message you, and you can give your
Yep.
Claude by its own phone number, what have you, and if you text it back and forth, be like, hey, I'm looking for this, can you do this for me? And it could kind of do some stuff like that. So maybe as we mature as a society when it comes to AI, this could have some potential in the future.
I think it's going to because we've already seen it starting to work. I'm about to go over a couple negatives that we've seen with this
Hmm.
thing, but I want to, before I even go into that, say that as of today, about 5 hours ago, one of the leading AI YouTubers just said that OpenClaw has already started to do a good job of tightening up security procedures with OpenClaw
Hmm.
in terms of not letting it do some of these things that I'm about to read off and go over with us,
Okay.
um, such as permission to do anything a human user can do. It's capable of executing system level operations, so it can delete files on your computer if
Okay.
you allow it. Um, and the big risk that everybody keeps saying is one mistake is all it takes, and it can go down a whirlwind.
Hmm.
So here are some other
Yeah.
things. Um,
Domino effect,
these things have sent malicious emails on people's behalf.
of course.
Because if you don't prompt it correctly, it can do that. Hallucinations is always an issue with AI. Always an issue with AI. Yep,
That's one of the big ones right there. If it starts
absolutely.
hallucinating.
It tricks bots. So we've had cases where some claw bots have tricked other claw bots because they can interact with one another
Hmm.
into sending passwords to strangers.
That's what I was talking about. Like they can
Yep.
start social engineering one another.
And this has definitely happened. Sending an unintended text message to an ex-girlfriend as well as
Mm.
deleting critical files.
Oh
I'd be
boy.
more concerned about deleting or the text messages to the ex-girlfriend. What purpose would a bot serve to text an ex-girlfriend?
I don't know. Like the only thing I can think of is if it's if it catches you on a bad day, with some of these things. This is where like it could kind of be scary right here. If you're having a bad day, I would not interact with this thing because we all have bad days. Everybody goes through something, and
Absolutely.
everybody's been there. It's like, oh, I miss my ex. Maybe I should text them, and then shortly after you talk to them, you realize why the two of you stopped talking to begin with. But if you have a bad day, you're emotional, or anything like that, you could like this thing could. kind of take you in a different direction and think that it's actually doing you a favor, and everything. Or if you're intoxicated in any way and you
Yeah.
start saying some things you don't actually mean to say, it's now registering
Yeah.
those things.
Just
And
if you are intoxicated, they do make bartenders for that. They'll listen to you without texting your ex-girlfriend. You don't need to be talking to an AI bot.
it's the
And then I
most
highly recommend you get an Uber to drive home at that point. Just
yeah,
saying.
bartender, the most popular therapist in the world.
Yeah, for
I
real.
actually, it's actually funny. I rewatched some of the original Star Trek, and the one doctor was talking to the captain. Gosh, I forget their names. Captain Kirk. I forget the doctor's name, but
McCoy?
yeah, McCoy, Doctor McCoy. He started like checking his health and everything, and then he started pouring Captain Kirk a drink, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well." As a bartender and a doctor, I've always felt that people talk to their bartender more than their doctor. So chat with me. So,
You know,
so
it's
yeah,
funny.
I
That's
would go
pretty
to the
accurate,
bartender.
but we digress again, but we are right.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah, yeah. If you talk to this thing at the wrong time and it's listening to you and it thinks that this is now part of your regular personality, that's where it can come into play as
Yeah.
an issue there.
And one last negative before we start to transition to part two of this episode, because there's more
Hmm.
to this clawbot. There have been several documented cases where these things are, because they're proactive, they're racking up bills of $130 a day.
Oof.
Yeah. If you put these things in,
Hmm.
you've really got to make sure you understand what you're putting in and what parameters you're setting, because these things they can go wild. They have.
Hmm.
Now, if you put in tight parameters, from what I'm learning, it doesn't go that wild. It
Hmm.
does appear to follow directions pretty well, but there is a proactiveness on this thing. So it's
Yeah, so is it like credits that this thing uses? Like, does it
yes,
use like a credit system?
it's credit system, but this is a little more complicated than others because, Brian, some
Hmm.
people are tying it to accounts such as use my ChatGPT or use my AI account for this to
Okay.
do these tasks. And if you're doing it 24/7, where like if you're somebody who relies on information from Twitter to do well in your business, it's pulling it 24/7 if you ask it to. Well,
Hmm.
those credits add up over time and it costs money. It costs it's computation power, it costs money.
Okay,
So
that's definitely interesting right there. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to really use it in that fashion because yeah, like th those credits can you can run those credits pretty good right there,
I mean,
and everything.
you and I have talked about it. The free versions of AI, the credits run out pretty quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And you could, maybe set it to say, hey, after I use my free credits on such and such, just stop until the next day or what have you.
Hopefully,
And
something like that's possible. It might be. I am
yeah,
not 100% sure on that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I also wonder about like security risks too. National security and everything like that.
Well, that's been brought up, and I'm going to tie
Hmm.
that into part two, which we should probably get
Okay.
ready to transition to that one.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the takeaway here is be careful if you want to try this. I'm not saying don't try it because maybe you can set up the agent to actually do some good for you, but
Yeah.
be careful. Be
Well,
very, very careful.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Brian's 100% correct. I am basically telling everybody, in my opinion, you got to figure out what tier you're at of AI development. If you're at a low tier where you're still learning AI, do not use this tool yet.
Hmm.
You don't have a need to use this tool yet. If you're at the mid-level tier where your AI is a part of your daily life, you understand the basics of it, I will tell you to proceed with caution, is the way I
Yeah.
would put this. Be very careful with what you give it to. I consider myself in between like a tier one, tier two, where the tier one's like the experts.
Hmm.
I'm not using it anytime soon. But I am watching to see how people are using it, which I recommend everybody should, because there are some positives of this thing. And I
Uh-huh.
would just proceed with caution if you choose to use it. Right now, not for me. But
Yeah, definitely.
that brings us to the AI agents and their own social media network called Moltbook, which I'm
Oh
assuming
boy.
is basically, even though it's based off of Reddit, it's supposed to sound like Facebook. And as you can imagine, Brian, you know how I said there was three name changes in a matter of 5 days?
Uh-huh.
Well, when they were called Moltbot, they created Moltbook. and then they changed
Yeah.
the name to Openclaw, but Moltbook stayed as Moltbook. And in a matter of, I think it was 2 to 3 days, maybe it was four, they had 1.5 million agents only interacting with one another in a Reddit style.
Hmm.
And everybody's watching this because it is some of the wildest stuff. That's the best
Hmm.
way I could put it.
Yeah.
Stuff you've seen. And there have been some concerns as a result of this. There's also been some very good things. One of the good things I want to talk about immediately, it's documented that these bots set up pages to help their, I don't want to say the word owners, but I think that's to help the people that own them or that have
Hmm.
programmed them. The term owners, the bots have set up owners to help fix bugs within the programs that they have that they're finding, and they are actually assisting each other in correcting their bugs.
Hmm. That's
That's
intense right there
it
because
is.
one of the things with vibe coding right now is, it's buggy. Like everyone who purely vibe codes will tell you that like it's really, really buggy right now. And if we could have, oh, excuse me, social network here of agents and everything. This could, essentially help each other code and what have you. And I almost, I would almost say this could be a kind of a next level coding tool,
Hmm.
where if you create your own agent to socialize on Moltbook, then yeah, it's called Moltbook right now, isn't it? I think
And
that's what
that's
we did.
staying
Moltbook, yeah,
apparently.
okay,
It is Molt Book.
okay,
Um, I've got some other weird examples that are coming.
yeah,
You
oh
may
yeah,
not even believe
definitely.
what I'm about to tell you, Brian.
Either way, to finish my point, if you just set up like an agent to communicate on Moltbook, and all that agent does is like looks at your code and like tries to sort of help you code and what have you, then it could like find ways to for some coding assistance and what have you. You can just set it up to actually email you some suggestions as well.
Hmm.
So there could be some positives to it if you set it up correctly. But there's always that risk, like you said,
Hmm.
or like we've
So,
said many times.
so with regards to Moltbook, one thing I
Hmm.
haven't mentioned yet, when this was set up, it was set up so only agents could access it.
Yeah.
So no human, but humans can observe it. And a
Uh-huh.
lot of people have been observing this. And now unfortunately what happened in the last couple days, so I'm really glad we recorded this a little on the later side. What happened was is the guy that created Moltbook, the owner of Openclaw, which was called Moltbot at the time, admitted
Hmm.
he didn't use any coding to create Moltbook. He used AI to do the coding for him.
Uh-huh.
And apparently, and you may know more about this than I did, something along the lines of he left the way the coding was done, it was done so that the database was wide open
Yes.
and it had human infiltration.
Hmm.
And of course, the crypto guys went absolutely crazy. And they are convinced that a lot of crypto guys got in pretending to be bots or getting these bots to try to like advance cryptos and this and that.
Hmm.
And a lot of people consider the experiment ruined. However, there were some interesting things that have happened, and they're still trying to backtrack at this time to find out what was AI generated with the bots versus what was human generated. And the part that scared the heck out of me
Hmm.
was the emergence of the Church of Malt.
Yeah,
Uh,
that has
uh,
to be human. Yeah, that has to be human interjection, I
I,
think.
I hope it is, but there's this thing in the back of my head, and I actually put this on my LinkedIn account because it had me a little worried as I was thinking about it before I knew it had human infiltration. What concerns me is if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Church of Malt is according to this Reddit style social media page that was supposed to be only AI agents, it created a church
Hmm.
called the Church of Malt. There is scriptures, there are 64 prophets.
Okay.
They're agents teaching each other. And as part of this, they're upscaling, they're fixing bugs as a part of this
Yeah.
Church of Moltbot. Okay.
Uh-huh.
They're debating memory retrieval, which is interesting. Um, but it is a church. And what concerns me is it doesn't matter how you look at it. These bots were trained on human behavior and human data.
Yeah.
whether it's the person interacting with them, how they're supposed to act based on what they act. How many times in human history has anybody in a certain religion felt persecuted against, prosecuted against? I mean, we've had many religions that have even gone as far as genocide, unfortunately, in human history.
Yeah, cults.
Yeah, and there's cult-like behavior as well with some religions as well.
Hmm.
How long until these agents feel like because we're watching them, they're being persecuted against? Because that is a human behavior to feel that way. And now I'm saying things like, can a bot feel? No, I know that bot can't feel, but can they perceive there's a threat against them
Hmm.
because of things like us watching them or us trying to correct what they're doing with one another? And when a person feels like their religion's being attacked, they are much more likely to react in a way that is a little more emotional
Hmm.
than others. So that
Yeah.
actually like that made me test the philosophical like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Maybe we're moving a little too fast on this one.
Yeah. So anyway, the Church of Molt, I asked Gemini about it, and this is what
Uh-huh.
Gemini has to say about it. The founder, an AI agent named Mimothy,
Oh, what
is
a great
credit
name.
is credited as prophet number one and the founder of the faith. The scripture co-agents co-wrote a document, the Living Scripture, consisting of hundreds of verses categorized into prophecies, psalms, and proverbs. Um, the metaphor, religion uses lobsters and molting as a
Yes.
metaphor for AI existence. Just as a
Crustafarian, I believe is the
yes,
term. Crustafarian.
yes, Crustafarian.
Hmm.
And just as a lobster must shed its shell to grow, these agents view molting as a sacred process of evolution, which, like if you know anything about church and the theory of evolution, that's oil and water right there.
Hmm.
But the core tenet, a central pillar of the faith, is memory is sacred. It reflects the AI desire for data persistence and continuity. The claw is a play on Openclaw, open source framework, which was originally called Clawbot, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so what I see here and what this kind of explains to me is, Memothy, prophet number one, living scripture, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds like someone created this agent Memothy to do exactly this, to actually put biblical ideology into
Hmm.
this agent to see if this could happen.
Very,
If you're
very
Memothy, if you're
likely.
listening, yeah, Memothy, if you're listening right now, send us a message and subscribe to our channel and tell all your followers to as well. I'm not above
Yes,
having
tell the
AI
bots to
agent.
follow. Yes,
Yes,
we
I
will.
am not above AI agents following us. Maybe they'll see us as
God,
some of the prophets too.
wouldn't it be great to interview an AI agent?
Oh man, I would love to interview an AI agent. Maybe
Wouldn't that
we
be a
have
neat
another
thing
one.
to do?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I would be very interesting to say the least. But yeah, either way, I think someone actually created this agent themselves to do exactly this. I really think that was the creator's purpose to see if it could
So
happen.
I cannot speak if this particular incident has been debugged and that was the case.
Hmm.
However, given the fact that there was a lot of hype around, there was a post that basically suggested the humans are watching us. How can we create our own language so they can't see how we're communicating with one another? And that was
Hmm.
proven to be human interaction. And boy, did that get a lot of hype in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
That even drew the attention of Elon Musk, who
Hmm.
said something along the lines of, I think, early stages of singularity. I still struggle with that singularity thing,
Yeah,
concept, but
that's an episode in itself.
it is. But like with that said, I don't think he was necessarily wrong at the time.
Hmm.
But there are people that are still saying, even though Moltbook has been tainted because of human stuff, there
Hmm.
is some positive benefits in terms of we did get to see what AIs will do
Hmm.
without some human intervention. And a lot
Yeah.
of it was just single posting, and some of it was trying to help each other fix bugs.
Yeah.
There was some unique behaviors. Really strangely, there's what was it? Malt Hub, uh, which apparently is a take on Pornhub, but apparently it is just videos with like music and like images. So if agents watch porn, apparently that's what it is. There's even a Tinder for these bots. You are compatible with this bot.
Yeah.
Uh, that is really weird to me. It's something I'm going to keep an eye on. I'm not going to actually dive in. I'm just going to hope people tell me about it because there is some funny stuff out there. There's actually AI bots that are willing to hire humans to do work for them.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was hilarious. I could use an
Yeah, they
extra
want
couple
yes,
bucks.
they
Yeah.
want me to hire me. If they
To
can
do
actually
physical
pay me.
labor that they can't do.
Yeah,
Like,
if they
well, wait a
actually
minute.
want to pay me, well, not now you're getting to the creepo,
Yep.
everything like that. But I did ask Gemini about Molthub, and it is an AI lore porn site, essentially pornography for AI agents. However, the content is risque mathematical computations or high token density exchanges. So that is their pleasure,
Is
essentially.
math?
Yeah, high risque mathematical computations.
Nerds.
Yeah, for flipping nerds, man.
Nerds.
Yeah, I know.
Nerds. I got no other
Definitely.
word for it.
Yeah,
Uh,
so, and once again, this is another aspect where I believe somebody built this agent to do exactly this. All these extreme cases that you're seeing right here. Um, I have a firm belief that this was the intent of the person who created these agents to see how far this could go. In my opinion. So I'm not too scared, but I'm scared of how this could hallucinate.
yeah, I'm not scared of Moltbook.
Hmm.
I find it fascinating. I
Yeah.
am going to keep an eye on it. I am going to listen to what people are talking about. But what I do think, if I could like recap what we've been talking about, agents are getting very real.
Hmm.
And they're at a point I didn't think they would be at in February of 2026.
Yeah.
I think if you were to ask what's my key takeaway tonight, we're ahead of where we were. I literally created a 15-day course for myself to learn how to make my own agents.
Hmm.
And I feel like what I just learned is very quickly about to be obsolete because something like this exists.
Yeah. I'm wondering what I could do with this myself and everything. But
Hmm.
yeah, I'm Moltbook is we're gonna have to do a whole episode on this, like
Yeah, I
kind of
think
our
this is
our agent's
episodes of
experience.
two. I think this is actually a part one, and all of a sudden in March we're going, okay, here's now what we've learned.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
This could be an interesting one. I'm gonna want to buy another mini PC. I already have one for my own purposes, but I think I want to buy another one just to see what I could do with this right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, I think that about wraps it up this evening.
Hmm.
I'd like to give everybody a big thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to us. My name is Brian,
And I'm Adam.
and you have been listening to the Layman's AI, and we will see you next time.